G'day guys, and today Shorty and I are going to discuss the game at Metricon Stadium, which was Geelong up against Gold Coast. It was a very deplorable effort from Geelong, and I feel really bad for you, mate, because you had to make you had to make the trip for it. We didn't have to, but you elected to go there, and it wasn't really the result we're after. Gold Coast got there in the end by 40 points. It's our second 40-point loss for the year. And yeah, it's real alarming signs. That was a 12-point game there. We just had to win that, and we didn't. And I think we're just gone, mate.
Yeah.
Take us out of the premiership race. It's Hawthorn, Fremantle, Port and Sydney now. But you're at the game, mate. How did you see it?
It's a fair call to say, we're probably gone because it was just hugely disappointing. Like you say, such a massive game for Geelong. And in terms of the top four, and massive game for Gold Coast, they hadn't been in good form, and it's so disappointing the way they played, especially early. They were impressive, had their chances to maybe,
as always,
possibly put them away or at least apply some real scorable pressure. But yeah, you'd be clutching at straws to say that we were still premiership contenders, because the stuff we're serving up now is so far from premiership footy. On the road we can't win at all. It's pretty concerning.
Yeah, 1-4 now, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. But I mean, credit to Gold Coast. If you let them run, they'll run you all over the place, and we certainly let them do that. And that's pretty much how it ended up. Their outside pace was just so damn good. But how did you see the match anyway, mate?
Yeah, well, obviously very disappointing watching on. Early on, we went all right. Sort of kicked a few late goals and kicked some quick goals at times, and we weren't too bad at the stoppages early. But pretty much after sort of half time, we really should have put them away beforehand. I mean, we only ever got out to like 16 points, and then, just allowed Gold Coast back into the game by not making them pay when we really should have. We didn't get a whole lot of inside 50s, which credit to them, I guess, in winning the clearances, but I think they've got 12 more clearances than us in the end, mate.
Yeah.
Well, 41 to 29. So, they just really, they made us pay. They did what we usually do to sides, and it's just like, once it's in our forward line, it goes in there, then goes straight back out, and then they counter-attack, and it's just, it's horrible to watch.
A real slingshot, isn't it? They just seem to spread, a lot of sides seem to spread so much better than us.
Yeah, and I think that just comes down to sort of speed around the ground, work rate, so it's a bit of mentality about it, but very worrying, but I don't really, what more is there to say? I don't think we can really say we're a top four side. We're so far off it.
No.
I mean, there's four sides that are an absolute mile better than us, and it's just the unfortunate reality of footy.
And you mentioned me being at the ground, like, you got to dampen the crowd noise early, and we did that by having a good start, but as soon as they got a run on, the crowd was up, Gold Coast were up. We just can't stop sides when they're on a run like that. We used to be so good at that, getting that answering goal or stemming the flow. We just don't seem to be able to do that as much. And I guess the fact is we're not that side anymore. A lot of people sort of go, the old Geelong would have been up by 8 goals, the old Geelong. We're not that side anymore. And even
I agree with you,
a lot of the names, like everyone's sort of saying, the side Geelong's got out there, look at the names, Caddy's back, Christensen's back. They're not the players they were at the moment. Whether it's due to form or age or injury. On paper we're looking pretty good, but we're not a top four side, that's for sure.
It really is a big shame, but we'll move on to the best three cats that we thought sort of performed well. Not that there was that many. Who did you have, mate?
I think we have slightly differing votes here, but I gave Duncan the 3 votes. I thought he was a standout early. Just such a good ball user too. He sort of set the tone for Geelong. I think he ended up with 29 touches, and he was really good for mine. And the other midfielder who was fantastic and probably held his head pretty high, as always, was Joel Selwood. Started forward at times, but I was glad he worked into the midfield throughout the match and racked up plenty of the ball. Really had a presence through the middle. And the one vote, as it seems to be sometimes, is a bit of a stretch, but I gave it to Guthrie. A bit of an interesting one, because I know at times he's on Ablett. But I thought as far as his ball-winning ability and some clearances there, he was pretty good, and he uses the ball well. And partially, a lot of the other cats were so disappointing. he was the lucky one that's slipping into the one vote there for me.
Good on him. Well done.
How about yourself, mate? How did you see the votes?
Yeah, I went with Stephen Mollop for the 3 votes. You said he was a bit sloppy early. I think he got 24 disposals in the end, 9 marks, and kicked 3 goals. He kept trying for mine, and there wasn't really sort of that many players putting their hand up to sort of say, yeah, mate, I'm doing pretty well for the Cats here.
At least he kept going.
I'm digging in, and so I thought Mollop went all right, so he gets a 3. 2, I went with Joel Selwood. He was pretty good as well. I mean, he sort of stood up in those moments, like there was a few crucial clearances. He really got his hands dirty and delivered the ball well into the 50. Apparently his disposal efficiency wasn't really that great, according to the stats, around the 55% mark. I didn't quite think it was that bad, but
certainly wasn't noticeable. But
and that sort of comes down to the pressure Gold Coast were applying. That's one thing we forgot to touch on, that Gold Coast pressure was sort of one of the main reasons that really stopped us in our tracks for delivering the ball well.
Yeah, definitely.
And also through the corridor where we couldn't quite get through, Gold Coast would always catch up to us or something like that.
Yeah, it's tough to deliver the ball well inside 50 when there's so much pressure on the ball carrier.
Yeah, not scenes I haven't seen too often, but that was on a bit of a tangent. We'll get back into it, and so I thought Selwood sort of stood up as the leader he does. And I gave the 1 vote to Shane Kirsten. As I said, there are not too many players putting their hand up, but he kicked the 3 goals on debut, and I think he took a few marks as well. Got the 10 disposals, so he really outshined Josh Walker, and I reckon he'll be probably the sort of second tall, along with Tommy Hawkins. I think you'll touch on pretty soon. But I thought Kirsten's contribution and limited opportunities, he did pretty well for mine. So
definitely.
Those are the votes we've given, and we'll move on to the chopping block. Who's on the block this week, mate?
Yeah, credit to Kirsten, because he looks like a smart footballer.
Yeah, definitely.
His one thing will be his chasing and stuff like that. They've worked on the VFL, but definitely a good smart forward. But the chopping block, Josh Walker, as you say.
Yikes.
He was hugely disappointing. I've backed him up at times, saying play him, and this was his moment to stand up.
Yep.
To just say, g'day Shane, I'm the second forward, you're third. And Kirsten was just so much better than him. Walker just dropped marks, wasn't clean, looked out of his depth, so it was disappointing. I mean, I hope that he can get the confidence at some point, but at the moment, Kirsten certainly has to be rewarded for that performance, so I think he will probably lose his spot there for possibly Taylor Walker, I think. Sorry, Harry Taylor.
Harry Taylor,
Get my Walkers mixed up there.
That's all right, mate. Yep.
But, probably if he's right, because I know you mentioned that it could be 3 to 4 weeks for Harry there.
Yeah, I think PCL, no, not quite.
Yeah, something
to do with his knee. Yeah.
It's a bit unclear what it is, and Stokes as well. Bumped into him at the airport, and he didn't give me too much, but he was on the crutches there, not looking too good. Holland Smith might be right to come back in, hopefully. Could be a bit of a swap there, and Hamish McIntosh for Dawson Simpson could be another one too, because he looked like he was struggling a bit there and had the moon boot on at the airport. I saw.
Not a good sign.
No, it's not a good sign. And a couple other guys that need a bit of a blowtorch here are Jordan Murdoch, Trav Varco and Billy Smets. They're just really not really holding their ground at the moment. I mean, one-on-one, quite disappointing, and when we're going well, they look well, and that's not really what you want.
No.
I mean, Billy got shown up a few times in defence, as did Barco.
Yeah.
And Murdoch's just got to do a little bit more when it really matters, I think.
You can think of that mirror goal on Smets, just a very disappointing one-on-one effort.
Very disappointing. But that's the chopping block for this week, mate. On a bit of a down note after a long plane trip, getting the names mixed up, but
that's all right.
That's the chopping block, yeah.
Well, Taylor Walker would be handy in the forward line, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
But on to next week, we've got the Bombers on the Friday night at Etihad Stadium. We traditionally go well there. I think we've only probably lost to them in 2011 in recent times, which was an absolute bogus match. Don't know how we lost that, but they just came out firing, and James Hird was maybe a bit lucky that night. But so the Bombers were on fire against the Crows. I think they won by 9 points in the end and had an amazing start. I turned it off once they kicked their 5th goal because, for financial reasons.
Bit of a punt?
It's a bit of a punt, yeah. It didn't quite go my way, of course. But, so the Bombers seemingly back into a bit of form. Whenever Asada challenges them, they find a way to sort of assert themselves.
Joe Watson. Yeah.
Even without Joe Watson, Goddard was apparently sensational.
Yeah.
Going by the NAB Fantasy AFL, but
yeah, definitely. And the big player next week will be Paul Chapman, of course.
Yeah,
that'll be intriguing.
They rested him obviously to get him right to play against us, and he'll probably tear us to shreds, I reckon.
I would say so. He's a proud man.
He'll make us earn it. So we usually respond from a loss. We do, but really this game's almost a 50-50 the way we've been playing. I mean, maybe a 70-30 based on sort of how we respond to losses, but we really need to make a statement. I mean, I think we're pretty much done for the year in terms of maybe premierships, but making finals really isn't that sort of big a deal if you can't really make it to the last day. But
exactly, yeah. I mean,
just playing for pride now, I think.
And it really is a week at a time sort of thing, because we just can't look ahead of. I know we've got an easy run, so to speak, but no game is easy at the moment the way we're playing.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, hopefully a few guys like Christensen and Caddy, another game into them, because they did look rusty, but yeah, we certainly need to start gelling together as a side and start pulling it together just to salvage something.
Absolutely. Not to mention Harley Bennell. I don't know how they want to pronounce it, but they seem to say Bennell, even though there's Jamie Bennell, and it's spelled exactly the same.
Depends on the week.
Depends on the week, yeah. I don't know how you can allow a man to get 9 scoring shots and dominate the way he did. 6 goals, 3, career best. He's been pretty well held this year and hasn't been that great. There's been moments where I think, oh, gee, mate, you can do better than that.
Yeah.
Comes out and plays his best game ever, and seemingly in our away losses, everything that can go wrong does go wrong, and we end up getting towed, and it's pretty disappointing as a supporter looking on. But
probably the best game for his career, I would say. He's played some pretty good ones, but you have to be up there. Yeah.
Well, in terms of beating us, but no, that's the review of the game. Terrible result, but life goes on.
Yeah, next week.
There's always next week, I guess, and literally for Geelong supporters, it's a hope game from now on, unless we get a real wriggle on, but I don't see that happening.
There's always that glimmer of hope as a supporter, but realistically, it's not looking too flat at the moment.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So that's the review of the game with Geelong and Gold Coast. Feel free to comment your thoughts on the game. What was a very disappointing game. We'll keep hammering it home. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Check out my mate Darijoe, who does the Geelong goal highlights each week. He does a fantastic job, so go over and check out his content and subscribe to him. And also follow us on Twitter. We'll obviously put the videos in on Twitter, so you get them pretty much straight away. And subscribe to us as well. We always love that. Thanks for sticking around, and we'll see you guys all soon.